Hi, my name is Sarah Steiner. I'm the librarian on campus for the College of Business, and my goal today is to give you a quick tour of some of the library's resources that are going to help you accomplish your assignment for Professor Murphy's Macroeconomics class. So you have an interesting research assignment, and we'll start by working through that. So these are the top 4 points that I noticed that library resources can help you get to the bottom of as you're working on this assignment. So you have to choose a policy or program to research. Maybe you've already picked one. That's awesome. If you haven't yet, I'm going to show you a couple of resources that will help you to choose a policy and sort of see what people are talking about in the field of economics. Then you'll have to research and analyze whatever you choose from an economic perspective. And the library has some collections of articles and studies, one that focuses specifically on economics called ECON Lit, which I'll show you. And then we have some that focus on business, all aspects of business and industry more broadly, and those will also have economic content in there, so we can take a peek at those. You'll have to kind of outline the programs and proposals that you find, and that's going to require you to actually locate and draw out differing perspectives from the research. And a lot of times people can be new to the idea of sussing out an argument, as it's called in scholarly writing, because it looks different than an argument we might have in day-to-day life. It's a lot of incredibly well-informed professionals who are having differences of opinion or differences of perspective on an issue, but yeah, they're all gonna have merit, and they're all gonna have a lot of advocates and detractors, but they're gonna phrase up their arguments in different ways. So we'll take a look at an example of that so you'll know how to spot it in case that's new to you. Let's start our sort of exploration of different things at the library's homepage, which you can get to from any of the quick links tabs on any of the Western pages. And I showed you my contact information, and I will again, but I also want to point out to you, of course, I'm not working all the time. So if you need help and it's late at night or maybe on the weekend and you need help right away and you know I'm not working because I'm here Monday through Friday, then just know we have this chat feature, and it's online 24/7, and it will hang around on all the library's homepages. And when you use it, you're going to be talking to a human person as opposed to like a bot that searches a database. So we can get you a lot of help here pretty much anytime you're working. So just know that's available to you. And many people I know, you're probably already familiar, maybe already familiar with this one search that's in the middle of the library's homepage. That aggregates a lot of the library's contents and permits you to search them all at the same time. But with a more refined assignment like this that's in a specific discipline, I want to show you some different tools that are going to help get you to the content you need more quickly. So to do that, I made up a guide for your class. It's here on the Research Guides tab. And then if you click Course Guides, you will see, scroll down just a little bit, Economics 232 with Professor Murphy, and then all the resources that we thought would be most helpful to you are listed here. I may keep adding more as I chat with you all. And if at any point you want help from me, please don't feel shy. My contact information, again, is over here on the side, and I hear a lot from students, and I always enjoy working with you. So just please don't feel like you're bothering me. If you want to have a chat with somebody about finding the right keywords to search, or you're not sure how to locate the argument in your source, or you feel like there's some angle or aspect missing to your argument, but you're not sure how to get to it, I am really happy to help you with all those things. So just drop me a line. So for those of you who maybe are still thinking about what topic you might choose, I did pull out 3 resources here that might help. So the Economic Policy Institute is just a web page, and you can come in here and kind of see they have the areas of research, so you can poke around and see what interests you and see what research they're putting out, and then you can come back here and use these links underneath to find more studies that are looking at different aspects or different perspectives on that topic. And The Economist and the Harvard Business Review are both going to work. They're a little bit more complex to get into, but the function is the same. I'm just going to show you The Economist to make a point. And it's a number of clicks, which I apologize for, but the system's a little clunky in spaces. But you'll see here, this is showing me basically the library has electronic access. We've prepaid for electronic access to The Economist as a part of all these different packages. And you want to take a look at the date closely because you'll see this one, for example, it stopped having coverage as of 2020. I'm going to choose the ProQuest Central one because I like the ProQuest interface. And when I come in here, I'll just take a moment to load. It's going to show me, see all my issues of The Economist, and I can either scroll through the articles that came out, and you can go issue to issue here and look back into the past by year, by date, or you can do a keyword search. So if you want to talk about minimum wage, raising the minimum wage, which is going to be the example I use throughout this presentation, then you can put that in and just see what people have been saying about that in The Economist. It's worth noting that both The Economist and the Harvard Business Review, these aren't scholarly peer-reviewed sources. They're credible sources, but it's important to know the difference between those because you're probably going to want to make sure you have some peer-reviewed scholarly studies as well. But still, these are nice to include. All right, I hope that is helpful to some of you. And let's go ahead now and talk more about how we search some of these databases. And the databases are just conglomerations of articles, selections of articles, usually grouped on a particular topic. So for example, this collection of articles, Econ Lit, is all economics stuff. So everything you find in here is going to have that angle. So this is a great place for you to get started with research for this class, for any future economics classes you take. Now, it's interesting to note, too, that all topics are sort of by their nature interdisciplinary. So you'll see I've got some broader ones here, too. Business Source Premier includes articles on all business topics, also a great resource to check. And then Academic Search Premier is about as broad as it gets. That's all different academic disciplines. It will still include economics and business, but you're also going to get philosophy, music, everything else that exists out in the world. But they all search the same way. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about searching in Econ Lit, just to get you started. Here I am in my interface, and you'll see it looks a little bit like Google, but you have to interact with it differently than you interact with Google. And you do that by choosing your keywords a little bit more strategically. In Google, you can use what they call natural language searching, which is pretty much any thought that pops into my head. I can throw it in the search and I'm going to get some hits. What would the impact be of raising the minimum wage in the United States, right? Like this. This is natural language searching. You can't do that in here. So what I'm going to start with is minimum, if I could type, minimum wage increase, and you'll see it's going to give you some kind of suggested topics. Some of these are great, some of these are less great. I tend to keep it as simple as I can, but you can test some of these. Doing these searches is guesswork. It's educated guesswork. So don't feel shy about guessing, about trying a few different things. Don't struggle, though, for more than 15 minutes to find your sources. If you're not getting anywhere, you feel like you're just bumping into the wall, that's when you'd want to reach out to me, either directly or you can, again, use that chat. But I want to typically keep it to 2 to 4 search terms. So I'm going to stick with minimum wage increase. And I'm not going to specify economic because I'm already in economic database, right? So everything in here will be about economics. If I were in the broader databases, I would probably want to specify. And I'm going to show you one more search trick. If I put in econ and then a star, it will look for any letters that come past this point in the word. So it will get me economy, economics, econometrics, all that kind of stuff will be included in my search. So this is a great time saver. But like I said, I'm actually not going to include that because we're in the economic database. So here we've got our results. And again, each one of these things come from a journal, not every single one, some of them are freely available, but most of these journals have a pretty significant cover price that the library has prepaid with your tuition dollars and state dollars for you to have access to. So just be aware that the reason you have to learn the foibles of this system is because this content isn't freely available on the web. You're not going to find it in Google no matter how hard you search. But I can show you Google Scholar really briefly, which uses the Google interface to search the library's holdings. That's another really great tool for you to be aware of. I can actually add that to the guide. So what you'll see here, a few things. My articles, I've got about 1,200, almost 1,300, which is a good number. If I want to, I can limit to peer-reviewed sources specifically. I can also keep an eye on this date really easily, so I might not want stuff that's coming from the 60s. I could say I really only want things that were published in about the last 10 years and make that adjustment pretty easily. And if you scroll down a bit too, you'll see there are more limiters. I can tell it I only want academic journals or things like that, whatever it is you may be looking for in context. And now I only have about 750 hits. I can also at any time add search terms and narrow down my results list. But if I like this article, impacts of the minimum wage increase on the retail sector. Okay, cool. Maybe I like that. All I need to do is click where it says here, PDF full text, and it is going to pull up that article for me. And I just want to show you a few things about that. Here's my article title. Here's my authors. And it will always have an abstract for you here, which is just your summary of the article. And then if you scroll down, one of the things you're going to learn as a college student is how to effectively skim your literature, because you're going to have a lot of reading to do. So you'll get really good at this. And I have a tendency to start with the introduction, unsurprisingly, and just see how that goes. And sometimes after that, instead of reading the whole bulk of the text, what I'll do is skip straight to the end and look at the conclusions or the findings and see what sort of cases they make. Both of these are great places to find your argument statements or your position statements. This one doesn't, I'm going to see if this one has an obvious one. Sometimes they're more obvious than others. Here, you can start to see it here. So it's talking about the policies, and then here we've got this. Advocates of these policies posit that minimum wage hikes increase the welfare of workers and are unlikely to cause adverse effects. Critics claim that rising minimum wages hurt employment, particularly for the retail trade. And then you've got this beautiful thing in both of these cases. You've got works cited, right? And you begin to see, if you aren't already hip to this, why these works cited can be so helpful and so important for you to maintain, because all I need to do now is scroll down to the works cited at the bottom of this study, and I can say I want this article by Seatswald that was published in 2016. They'll all be, there it is, they'll all be in alphabetical order, and then it's pretty easy to get to some of these. In this case, all I have to do is take that URL. If it's another scholarly article, like this one from the Journal of Retailing, what I could do is take my article title and pop it into the OneSearch on the library's homepage. Or again, we're happy to help you find it. If you find a citation and you want somebody to help you figure out where you can get access to that article, that's a cool thing to ask us for help for. And I did pull up one more a little earlier before I started this session, where the argument is pretty clearly presented, just to show you something about how that looks. So this one's on minimum wage, again, increases in low wage employment, and this is a particular case study from Seattle. And then you'll see here, this one starts off with the argument, so to speak, really prominently stated right in the first sentence. Arguments for and against minimum wage increases often invoke significantly different narratives regarding the low wage labor market, right? And then we've got what the opponents say, we've got what the advocates say. This one is a little bit more robust in the write-up, so that's nice. And then a lot of times you'll see this extend to in what they will designate as the literature review section, but that name is not 100% consistent. So in here they've called it policy context, which is its own sort of literature review, right? They're reviewing the context of the policies. So they'll have a lot of different citations. This will all be incredibly helpful for you in understanding the different perspectives that are in play with this debate, or really any debate. I just came back here to that first article that I was looking at, and I wanted to point out a couple of other things to you about this. So it's always a really, really great idea to save anything you find if you even think you might use it. Just save the article and then you'll have it. I like to make myself a folder on my computer for every project that I'm working on that requires research, and then I just save stuff to it as I go along, and then if I don't need it, I delete it later. If I do need it, awesome, I have it. We see a lot of tears in the library about people who didn't save something and then it's the 11th hour and they need it. So my advice to you is use this download button and you can download the file, or if you prefer, you can email it to yourself here using this little email button, or just one more thing to show you, this little, it looks like a little yellow page icon. I hope you can see where I'm wiggling my mouse over here. If you click on that, it'll give you all of your citation styles, and you all are using Chicago. So you will see you have your Chicago citation here, which you can copy and paste. Back in my day, we didn't have these things, so it's a huge time saver, and I hope it will be helpful to you. Just one last thing about this that I wish I didn't have to say, but I do. I'm going to wiggle my window here a bit. So in any other context on the web, what you would do if you wanted to come back here was save this URL, right? You can't do that in here. If you try to save that URL and come back to it, it's going to break. So if you want to save it via URL, use this little icon here that has it looks like 2 linked chains, and it's going to give you a URL that will not break on you, because that's another thing that it's just a foible of this system. And as I mentioned, all 3 of these will search the same way. Just remember that if you want to get into these broader ones, if you're not finding what you want in Econ Lit, it's definitely worth a try to come into Business Source Premier or Academic. Just remember to add Econ and then a star to your searches. And that's going to help you get to that angle of the topic as opposed to an almost infinite number of other angles that researchers in other fields might take. And then underneath, I included just a little bit more other stuff. And I'm not going to search these with you because once you know how to look at something like the Economist, which we looked at earlier, and search the databases, it's all pretty much the same thing. You're just repeating it in different scenarios. But let's say you really wanted to come in to Econometrica, that specific journal, and you wanted to see what they're saying about a particular topic. You could do that and come in and just put in your search terms there. So some of the most prominent economics journals I've listed here so that you will have easy access to them. And then the last thing to mention is over here on the right, you'll see I put a link to a Chicago citation style guide that's from Purdue University. It's really great, and it will help you do your citations in the event that you find something that doesn't have an auto citation, or if you just want to check it and make sure it's right. So those tools are there. And we do have the walk on campus. The library can help with quick citation questions, but if you want somebody to do more advanced research with you, then you can go talk to somebody in the Writing and Learning Commons. They are super awesome. Thank you all for listening. I hope, again, this will be helpful for you. Please don't feel shy to reach out to me if I can help you at any point, and best of luck.